XLOC. Story 1. 2. 1K. R. Malicious Compliance. Posted by Catfish21SM. 14 hours ago. Malicious compliance costs company hundreds of millions and their most profitable product. XLOC. So this is a story from someone I know. I've known this person for years, and while I don't work with them, I've seen this story play out more or less step by step. I know several people involved, but I'm going to tell it from the point of view of the person I know the best. So many years ago, this person, let's just refer to them as person, got a really great job working for a Fortune 500 company. Not going to give any more specifics, but the company offered many benefits for their employees. They treated their employees like people and not like numbers. They offered a yearly raise to anyone who worked there. This was meant to do several things. First of all, it was meant to keep up with inflation so that employees wouldn't have to stress about money. I'm sure a lot of you know the struggle. Waiting for min wage to be updated so you can start saving money to hold over till the next wage increase. No, the company was ahead of the curve. On top of that, when they did start hiring new employees for more, they increased the wage of anyone with that specific position by the same amount to keep older employees from earning less than newer employees. They offered many other benefits as well. Basically an awesome place to work for. Unfortunately, it's a small town and the company wanted to expand that specific branch of operations. They couldn't do it here, so they chose to move out. They sold the branch office building along with the product that person worked to another smaller company. When it was sold, then person went with it. The old company made the new company sign a contract which guaranteed that the yearly bonus would stay around along with several other similar benefits. New company wasn't around very long and ended up expanding as well. They did the same thing. Sold the location and product to another company. Unfortunately, they didn't care as much about their employees and only treated them well because of contractual obligations. So when they sold the location and product, it did not come with a contract. New company did care a little bit about employees, but ended raises and all of that. They would listen to employee complaints, but that was about it. They weren't around long either before the scummiest company came in and bought him out. So new company comes in and buys them out and immediately starts changing policies and shifting everything up to make everyone's jobs harder. Person and their team members got used to it and kept going. Now here's the thing about person. Person works on a team of specialists. There are only about 12 people on the team and a manager that's over them. Well, there was. I'll get to that. This team doesn't require any special education or anything, but it does require a several-week training course and several months of acclimation. The product is extremely delicate, and the customers for this product are extremely demanding. They more or less require perfection. Anything short and no money. You must watch every single word that you say to these customers, or they might write you off permanently. However, this is an extremely valuable product and the company makes a lot of money from it. Or they did at least. Let's speed forward about 10 to 15 years. The company has only found new ways to treat their employees less like humans since they took over and are somehow getting away with it. Turnover is high. But as long as they have high school grads looking for a job, then they can keep their building full. Unfortunately, person and their team have asked for a raise several times at this point. They were always being turned down because they are earning, at market value, for their position. Looked it up, and market value is determined by a simple equation that takes into account other people in your profession at your experience level and with your job title within about 100 miles and calculates average wage for them. Considering the extreme specialty of this position and being located in a remote region, market value is determined by calculating the average wage of everyone on person's team. Basically, the company was saying, "Shut up, we aren't giving you a raise." Quote, The straw that broke the camel's back was an annual investors meeting that was streamed live to the entire company. Person working on a small team was invited to take a few hours off to watch the meeting. It was kind of a reward for them for performing so well. The company shot themselves in the foot with this one, though it was already starting to go south anyways. They just sped it up a little. So to put this into perspective for you guys, the company total profit for that year, profit not earnings, was a little over 1.2 billion. Out of that 1.2 billion persons team of 12 people, in a company heeing tens of thousands mind you, these 12 people, and a manager, brought in about 480 million. That's a little over a third of the company's total profits for the entire year. For those that don't like math, that's about 40 million per person of pure profit. Person specifically earned a little over 60 million alone. The lowest earner on the team was over 20 million. Seeing that they were single-handedly responsible for over a third of the company's total profit for the year, the entire team got together and demanded a raise. The manager actually put that in before they even said anything. Even their manager thought it was wrong. They demanded $20 an hour. They actually only wanted half of that. But since they were being low-balled and completely unappreciated by the company for the work that they did, they put in a higher number. BTW $10 is about the amount they would have been making with their yearly bonus had it never been discontinued. As you might expect, the company, being money-hungry, came back with the same response as usual. Didn't even try to negotiate. They asked several more times over the course of a few weeks, threatening to quit if they didn't get a raise, and the company basically just said, "Go on. Anyone can do your job." Quote, Cue malicious compliance. They didn't all quit, only 3 of the 12. Which, if you've been keeping up, would add up to on average $120 million over 1 year. But that's not all. Actually, what they did ended up turning out even worse for the company. The rest of the team all agreed to only work their minimum requirements. The company had minimum requirements that everyone had to meet. This team, up to this point, being proud of the work they put in, consistently exceeded the requirements many times over. They would compete to see who could perform the best. The lowest earner on this team often exceeded minimum requirements by 3 times over. At the end of the year, the company had to painfully explain to investors why their highest earning department was now performing at less than half what it did the previous year. They came up with some stupid explanations. They still refused to give a raise though. Instead, what they decided to do was raise their minimum requirements. At first the team kept up. But eventually, out of aggravation, when their constant requests for a raise were denied, about half of the team requested transfer off. They were transferred to other departments and replaced with brand new employees, the most experienced of which had been with this company for about a year. These new employees struggled to keep up with the minimum requirements, which kept getting raised to meet stockholder expectations. Eventually, original member on the team had either quit or transferred to another department, even the manager. This left the team with only new employees who had absolutely no idea what they were doing. They completely alienated the vast majority of their former customers almost overnight, and if that wasn't enough, because they could not meet the extremely high demands of the company, still only a fraction of what the original team was performing, they were either let go or transferred to another department and replaced after only a few months on the team. Even heeing several times the number of employees on that team did nothing. When they reported an earnings of 80 million from that team, the company got so fed up with it that they just sold the product to another company for an enormous loss. Unfortunately, this isn't one of those "the company drove themselves out of business" stories, but I still think it's pretty funny and I like to tell it to all of my new friends. I also use it to warn anyone who might be considering going to this company to work. Honestly, you'd think that if someone earns that much profit for your company, you'd at least try to keep them around. 122 comments. Award. Share. Save. 474 people here. If you're enjoying this video, like, comment, subscribe, and turn notifications on. Story 2. $907. Malicious Compliance. Posted by DRP Cowboy. 12 hours ago. Yep. I must be bad at math since I work here. Sock. This was many years ago and probably not quite the right sub, but whatever. I worked for one of those big box stores that helps you improve your home. This guy would come in every week and buy 3 cases of cheap spray paint. I asked him what he did with that much paint. He worked at an apartment complex and handed those to his crew, and they'd spot spray any chipped paint they found. What a lot of people don't realize is those cans only look the same on the outside. That cheap can only covered 5 square feet. The more expensive covered 15 square feet. The cheap can was $1 and the expensive was $2.50. So I told him one day he could save money by buying 1 case of the expensive rather than 3 of the cheap. He yelled at me that $2.50 was more than $1. I tried to explain it had 3 times the paint for less than 3 times the cost. He wasn't having any of my funny math. So I told him, thanks for your business, sir. Every week he came in. I told him, thanks for your business. 112 comments. Award. Share. Save. 52 people here. If you're enjoying this video, like, comment, subscribe, and turn notifications on. Story 3. $1. 7K. Malicious Compliance. Posted by Cbro MD. 18 hours ago. All interest parties must apply. Deal. MOC. Once upon a time I worked as a paramedic. And during that time decided to be a keen helper and volunteer for my service's new fancy, expensive response program. Essentially, you rode around in an SUV and answered 911 calls. Improving the stats because the response time to the house was faster. Then a full ambulance got there when they could. Thing is, it was lonely work. You didn't have a partner. You didn't get to chat with nurses and doctors at the hospital. And you never got to go back to base. So, shockingly, it wasn't popular and most of us decided to go back to our regular partners. Also, it required an extra training program put on by the service. But, the service had promised big performance to the city, investing. No paramedics on the SUVs. No program. So they decided to force those of us that had volunteered back onto the SUVs, irritating us and our partners. We had volunteered in good faith to help out with the understanding we could go back after the 6 months we committed to. Time goes on and we're all weary and bitter. And the union can't figure out how to put an end to it. A sloppy supervisor wants to try again to recruit more SUV medics and goes ahead and quickly writes an email advising that another training session is going to be run for anyone interested in the SUV program, and just so they know the numbers they have. Anyone who wanted back in from our cohort must reapply. Okay, says the union. And since language in an email from a supervisor is binding, they quickly told those of us that wanted out to just ignore the email and not reapply. It wasn't how the management meant it. But just like that, we had our loophole and were all finally free. And damn sure never volunteered for another project again. TLDR. Management bullies us into working a position we don't want and accidentally screws themselves in a single email with a single phrase, allowing us to escape the demands. As an aside, unions really can be an enormous help to the individual workers struggling to figure out how to get fair treatment from managers. 46 comments. Award. Share. Save. 49 people here. If you're enjoying this video, like, comment, subscribe, and turn notifications on. Story 4. $9. 3K. R. Malicious Compliance. Posted by you, Serena. 1 day ago. Cheeseburger with no cheese. Sock. Yeah. I know. That's a hamburger. But try telling that to every single Mrs. After Church Karen 100 times and let me know how much you want to press the point. A cheeseburger was 25 cents more than a hamburger at fast food restaurant where I worked back in the day. Eventually I got tired of being yelled at for correcting, explaining that what people really wanted was a hamburger. This happened multiple times a month. Mind you, I wasn't getting paid enough to stupid-proof hangry people's fast food orders. So I started ringing them up exactly the way they ordered. At first I'd ring them up for a hamburger. 'Cause I knew that's what they meant. But I got chewed out by someone who read their receipt. So no more going out of my way to save people from their self-inflicted stupid tax. The first time I rang up cheeseburger. No cheese. The cook came up to tell me I rang it up wrong. I just said, "That's how she ordered." My dead on the inside tone said all that I could not express in mere words. And the kitchen employees caught on right away. They never questioned the orders rung up that way again. It was a win-win. I didn't have to get yelled at for trying to save people money. And the restaurant made an extra $1.50 every month from customers ordering cheeseburgers with no cheese. I don't mean to brag. But sometimes, the restaurant made a whole extra $2 a month thanks to me. It was a little thing. And petty. But it made my retail-weary heart a little glad. 8. I feel I should mention this was 15 years ago. Approximately. It still comes up when I reminisce with my fellow former food service workers while swapping war stories though. Update. I've been getting comments about burgers all day. And I couldn't get burgers off my mind. So I got a cheeseburger for supper. Best decision I made today. 1K comments. Award. Share. Save. 65 people here. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe, and turn notifications on.